and also from. So two guards which are constantly standing in corridor can see what happens inside every compartment. And what do you think? How many people are inside every compartment? Please have some more questions. If you
Well, how does a clever Soviet Jew talk with a not so clever Russian Jew? Well, answer: long distance from Jerusalem. Well, question: what is the friendship of nations in the Soviet Union? Answer: well, Russians, Ukrainians, Georgians, and so on get together to beat Jews. And so on.
So now I would like, if you want to answer on your question, if you have some special.
What was your job in the labor camp?
Excuse me. Good question.
What was his job in the labor camp?
Labor camp was in the region nearby Polar Circle. We had frost during summer. Sometimes around 40 degrees below zero by Celsius.
100 Fahrenheit.
I cannot translate it.
Да,
in
Сережа,
Fahrenheit.
это 100 примерно, да? Ну, about 100.
Minus 40 Fahrenheit also.
No. Там надо 30 что-то добавлять.
Правильно. Когда минус 30, минус 35.
Совпадает,
The same,
да?
is it the same?
Да.
Совпадает, да? Ну, я не знаю.
Minus 35, minus
So,
45 degrees.
when we had temperature minus 37, we were very happy. I will explain why. Because when temperature is 37 and lower than 37, guards are exempted from being on their duty. It's dangerous for them, for their health. So,
Nobody cares about prisoners, about
so
that.
when temperature was 37 and lower, so we were also exempted from our work because guards were not permitted to guard us. So when temperature was lower, 37, we were happy. But when temperature was below 30, we were obliged to work. And you see what kind of work I was assigned. We were building a big shed, grandiose shed for 400 cows. Can you imagine 400 cows in one shed? And special compartment for pregnant cows. You see, they're very careful of cows.
I wanted to ask you, while you were waiting to emigrate, I understand that you could not practice your professions. And I wanted to know how you filled all those years while you were waiting to go to Israel.
I couldn't speak. Please repeat your question.
Okay. I had understood, you're both scientists, physicists.
Used to be,
Used to be.
yeah.
And I understood that because of your politics, you were not allowed.
Not because
No,
of that, not at all, not
Your
at all.
understanding is wrong.
Yeah,
yes.
that's
Okay.
not correct. They refused us permission to leave on the grounds that we had some kind of access to classified work.
Secrets.
Secrets. Well, we could accept this for 3 years. Let it be for KGB themselves used to say that 5 years is enough to keep people for secret consideration. But they kept us for 14 and a half years. So it came out that we became scapegoats, not just because of secret consideration.
But you didn't get to work in those years. I mean,
Yes, we had all different kinds of job. Sometimes we were unemployed. He was given 1 year sentence for so-called parasitism. But after Andropov assumed his power, and now his Gorbachev is the office assigned by Andropov and his who else, Suslov. They adopted new policies. They give people job. So 3.5, almost 4 last years, we had jobs there. They closed doors for immigration on the one hand. It's quite obvious. There is no over.
Why did you form an orchestra at all? And
Well, fine. That's in the stream of your question. So whatever possible could be done, both here and also there on that side. Behind the Iron Curtain, a good expression by Churchill. So we felt that we must attract public opinion by any means So we even could play any kind of instruments without being qualified. So it worked out in our case. You see results, we are here. So the idea was, and still is, to use whatever means available to attract public opinion to the plight of such people as we had been and they still unfortunately are.
Why is music a way?
Because music is an international language. Music attracts everyone. So you see how it works.
I wanted to say that that was true there for us, you know, in our
Could you
meetings
come
with the
forward?
Goldsteins and with the Godavas and with other Phantom Orchestra members. And the music was really a very powerful bonding force, you know, that made a real difference in our experience there and also other visitors to Tbilisi. Also here in the U.S., you know, when sometimes Phantom West, the four of us, will perform, and it seems like the music really reaches people's hearts. And as Isai said, you know, it's, you use whatever means you have. Use whatever means you have, whatever tools you have. So.
Why exactly are you here? Why are you here? Is it to work for Mrs. Nudell or?
You mean in the
Yeah,
United States
why
or
are you
in
here
Boston?
No, in the United States, no. Why?
First of all, we came here to participate to Solidarity Day. We came here to express our gratitude to you people, to Senator Kenny, for others. Thank you. Well,
Over the years, did Avi have other children who were refuseniks as his friends in Tbilisi, or was he just really in the company of adults and that
exactly.
world?
That was our problem, and we used every opportunity to take him to Moscow. Here we have a friend of
He was in the
ours.
gun in-
Exactly. So we had problems with children in Tbilisi. Yes, he had no friends. This is why for him twinning program was a breath of fresh air. He had on his table pictures of his twinning mates.
I'd like to ask Meryl if she to come up and talk about how this trip changed the way you think about music and the way you think about your own capacity to be an active person who can create change in the world.
Changing the world, okay? Do you have such aspirations to change the world?
In however small, or maybe you don't think of it that way at all, in which case you could just talk about something must have changed for you.
Well, I think a lot of things changed for myself and for Rosalie and Jeff and Hank is more in a humanitarian way, more above a musical experience. You know, when we left for the Soviet Union, we learned a lot. We knew who Grigory was, we knew who Isai was, we had learned about the Godavas. We learned about what a refusenik was, but we didn't quite really understand how a refusenik really feels. It's one thing to imagine what they look like, it's another thing to imagine how they actually feel, how they actually live from day to day.
Now you see, I'm not always drunk. So they just seized me in such a moment, you see?
I remember that picture you were
just
too.
after two cups
This is
of vodka, they seized me.
So you have to understand, while we were in the
Exactly,
Soviet
exactly.
Union, we had, you know, it was a party. We were in the apartment. We had a major party. We weren't in Tbilisi. It didn't feel like
right.
we were in Tbilisi. It didn't feel like we were in Cambridge. It didn't feel like we were in Switzerland. It didn't feel like we were anywhere except in our own world of great support, of great music making, of great people, of people who had a struggle, who had to go somewhere. And we certainly learned that for all the courage in the world that we could have imagined, you know, anybody having, certainly we found it in a lot of people. We found incredible spirit and people like these men and people like the Gudavas. You know, it never occurred to us that there are Catholic refuseniks, but there certainly are, and there are a lot
Even
of Christian
Chinese
refuseniks.
refuseniks
There we go.
Why
And,
not?
you know, in terms of Soviet Jewry, a lot of times we talk about quiet diplomacy versus public outcry, and I think there seems to be a consensus these days that both have to occur in order to work. But the
So
third,
no versus,
but
no
the
versus.
third, but the third.
In Concord, in a court.
He's such a great debater. You should have heard him say, you know.
He had
But-
Alan Dershowitz shut up.
Alan Dershowitz didn't say a thing. But, you know, the third element.
Also, speaker of Israeli television was beaten by him.
You know, but when we talk about those two elements, we forget the most important element. Maybe I'm, you know, a little judgmental, but the element of the refuseniks themselves, who are working so hard, not only for themselves, but for human beings, for other activists in the Soviet Union, and, you know, especially the Goldstein Brothers and the Gudavas and other people who are in here, Marina, work so hard, and it's really a combination of the three, and that's what I have to say. I hope I answered your question.
Are you worried about contributing in any way to American extremism and right-wing kind of anti-Soviet kind of Cold War hysteria? And how, when you deal with people, do you draw those lines if that concerns you? I know you're also involved in anti-nuclear work.
Yeah, I'm not concerned at all. I'm concerned on a human rights issue and a humanitarian issue, and I think that's what they're all about, and that's really what I'll have to say. And I'll answer some later if you want, but I think we should let the Goldsteins just answer a few more if they have, or maybe other people would like to participate too.
So I just want to say that we never confronted Soviet system as a system. So to make it very much clear, now in safety in the West, many of people do expect us to become right-wing and to speak out against the Soviets as a system. It is not our goal, not at all. We don't care about their system. Maybe it is bad, maybe it's good. I don't care. We are now Israelis. We have their scores of miflagim, of parties. Maybe I don't like it. Maybe I don't like one-party system in the Soviet Union. I will speak out in Israel because I feel myself Israeli. As far as we are concerned about our people in the Soviet Union, our goal is not to confront, not to contribute, as you put it, to Cold War. Vice versa, we hail diplomatic relations between Soviet Union and Israel. We hail to exchange on cultural levels, scientific levels, whatever level you suggest. But let my people go. We suggested to debate with Vladimir Posner. Why not? In no anti-Soviet terms. I would suggest that there are free medical care, but very little medication available. There is, you see, no unemployment in the Soviet Union, but we know about lists, waiting lists for teachers. Well, there is no shortage of food, but there are lines for vodka time and again. So everything is nice, but it's not our business. Well, so let my people go. That's our message to them.
You two are not musicians, you just help form the band.
Exactly. Executives, you see, managers.
They sing. What were your...
Yeah, sometimes we sing.
They sing.
After 3 cups, not immediately.
What were your first thoughts when you went to Israel?